As the FIA updates its sporting code to restrict political statements across the series it governs, it sparks a risk that it could derail a progressive push to improve inclusivity, a problem FIFA gave itself during the Qatar World Cup. News that the FIA had updated its international sporting code to restrict political statements in Formula One and other series has rightly been met with disappointment. It comes after weeks of debate about FIFA's intervention throughout the World Cup in Qatar on the highlighting of social issues, preferring to stick to football despite the controversies surrounding the tournament. Up to now, F1 never had anything explicit in its rules that could limit drivers from speaking up on issues they find important, only that they must comply with the FIA's rules that had a broad scope. But with the more specific limitations now being written into the ISC, the FIA appears to be following FIFA down a worrying path that goes against so much of the recent push for change in F1. Much of the narrative around the World Cup has surrounded Qatar's suitability as a host nation, given its human rights record, the treatment of migrant workers who continued to face labor abuses according to a 2021 report from Amnesty International, and the fact homosexuality is a criminal offense. FIFA, which is football's governing body, simply pointed to its laws of the game, saying they did not permit the kind of political statements that teams were looking to make with the One Love armband. It did not stop some figures from taking a stand. In the wake of the decision, many F1 fans on social media pointed to the example set by Lewis Hamilton at last year's race in Qatar, which was its first Grand Prix. On the Friday of the race, Hamilton got into his car wearing a helmet with a Progress Pride flag on the top. He kept the design for the final two races in Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi, countries that also have punitive LGBTQ+ laws. Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel have been two of F1's most vocal figures when it comes to social rights in recent years. They led the conversation around the Black Lives Matter movement following the delayed start to the season in 2020, while Vettel wore a Same Love t-shirt at last year's Hungarian Grand Prix in response to the country's proposed anti-LGBTQ+ laws, a stand Hamilton said he was proud to see Vettel make. They are just a couple of examples of the duo speaking up about important messages that reach far beyond racing, and yet, after it emerged on Tuesday that the ISC had been updated to prohibit political, religious, or personal statements or comments without prior permission, the risk now lies that drivers will be limited on what they can and cannot speak about. Hamilton faced scrutiny over a potential breach of F1's podium regulations at Mugello in 2020 when he wore a shirt reading "Arrest the Cops Who Killed Breonna Taylor," while Vettel was reprimanded for keeping his Same Love t-shirt on during the grid ceremony in Hungary. Previously, under the FIA's rulebook for F1, there was not the same kind of potential action. When Hamilton's t-shirt at Mugello faced scrutiny, race director Michael Massey reminded drivers in the pre-event race notes that the FIA supports any form of individual expression in accordance with the fundamental principles of its statutes. These state the governing body is neutral in everything that it does. But now the update has been made to the ISC to say drivers would be in breach through the general making and display of political, religious, and personal statements or comments, notably in violation of the general principle of neutrality promoted by the FIA under its statutes. Unless there is prior permission, the risk is now far greater that these messages may not be shared due to the same threat of sporting action. It is a worrying move that points to an underlying wish to confine the drivers to being just drivers and not the global superstars with the kind of platforms that allow them to speak up on important issues to give voices to those who so often go unheard. It also goes against the grain of trying to enact positive change in the countries where F1 races, where human rights are such a big topic, including Qatar, which returns to the calendar in 2023. Drivers are a key part of this discussion as well, since they are the ones that fans follow and truly listen to, who they want to see stand for the right thing. We can't simply visit these countries, take the sizable hosting fees, and just carry on our merry way, pretending like there is no work to be done or change to encourage. Values may differ across different cultures, yet so many of these are basic human rights that need to be spoken up for and protected regardless of where we go. The implementation of the FIA's new ruling will be something to watch when the new season begins, if it limits drivers, what possible sanctions they might face, and if they'd be willing to accept them. When his Same Love t-shirt in Hungary was investigated over procedural breach, Vettel said, "I'm happy if they disqualify me. They can do what they want. I don't care. I'd do it again." F1 may want to be progressive moving forward, focusing on issues such as sustainability and improving diversity. But for the FIA to now have something written in the rules that impact the ability to make statements about important issues, limiting it only to topics or agendas it agrees with, if enforced strictly, it won't fully align with that progressive push. So what do you think about this new change from the FIA? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, then a sub to the channel would be amazing. Apart from that, I hope you enjoyed the video, hope you have an awesome day, and until next time, goodbye.